And Stacey Abrams' sister, whose sister is literally on TV lying about GOP voter suppression, rules on the case. And they rule, yes, Mark Elias is right, that people saying they're moving is not a reliable indicator of people saying they're moving. Why am I putting up a Politico story? And I'm not putting this in the show notes because I'm not giving them the clicks. Because the headline is ridiculous. It's a Politico story about an abomination of a ruling in Georgia about the election that is so laughable that if the Politico headline was honest, you wouldn't even have to read the article. It'd be like Daily Mail. You'd be done. Look at the headline. Judge blocks voter purge in 2 Georgia counties. Judge Leslie Abrams Gardner, the sister of Stacey Abrams in Georgia, rejected a call for her to recuse. Judge blocks a voter purge effort. You read that story by Politico, you'd be like, oh my gosh, those dastardly Republicans are trying to take legitimate voters off the ballot again, Joe. Oh man, voter suppression everywhere. What's the real story? Well, let's look at how they frame it inside the Politico piece. I'm a little worried there. Quote, Politico. Listen to how they frame this. This suit brought by Majority Forward, represented by the National Democratic Party attorney Mark Elias. Oh, Mark Elias, the same guy who hired Fusion GPS. You know, the whole Spygate thing? That's weird, Joe, right? Followed an effort to challenge the lengthy roster of voters simply because, listen to this, how they frame this, simply because their registrations appeared to match Postal Service change of address records. Simply? You moved! It goes on. Voting officials in the 2 counties agreed to remove the voters. Shocker, Joe, they moved. Despite warnings from Democrats that such postal data, this is hilarious, is not a reliable or conclusive indicator that a voter has given up their local residence. After Gardner's ruling, Elias, you know, the Fusion GPS guy, hailed the decision as a blow to GOP voter suppression. So just to be clear, you go to the post office because you're moving. You sign a voter change of address form to have your mail forwarded, meaning you don't live there anymore. Those people then should be removed. And by the way, you can still file a provisional ballot because sometimes it does happen. Again, I'll give you both sides, unlike the media. Politico will never explain this to you. You can still file a provisional ballot. Sometimes, Joe, I got friends. They sell homes, then they move down the block. Yeah. They change their mind. They don't want to leave. Some sell. They don't want to sell anymore. It happens all the time. You can file a provisional ballot on disputes. To be crystal clear, there's no voter suppression. But probably 95% plus, and I'm probably being generous, of people who file a post office change of address to move are doing it. Get ready for it, Joe. Because they moved. Take your nitroglycerin pills. I know that's stunning. I don't want an unnecessary rise in blood pressure, but that's probably a good reason to ask that their voter rolls be scrubbed of people who can't vote in the state. Factoid number 1, which they casually gloss over there. The case was heard by Stacey Abrams, you know, the self-anointed governor of Georgia, who's not the governor of Georgia. She was the Democrat candidate, who is on the news every day talking about how evil the GOP is and trying to suppress votes. The case was heard by her sister. You think that might be grounds for recusal? I don't know. Only in a sane universe. By the way, that was a GOP judge who was the brother of Donald Trump here in this case. Of course, these hacks and lunatics in the liberal media would lose their minds, but these aren't principled people. They're losers. That's why they're journalists. Didn't recuse herself. Case was brought by Mark Elias and his group. You know Mark Elias, the Fusion GPS guy. And Stacey Abrams' sister, whose sister is literally on TV lying about GOP voter suppression, rules on the case. And they rule, yes, Mark Elias is right, that people saying they're moving is not a reliable indicator of people saying they're moving.
You just heard Dan Bongino.